Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter, and this is Paint and Sip at Home. Alright, so today I'm going to be painting Heavenly Heart, and I'm sipping on some berry tea. And if you enjoy this process, I do hope that you like and subscribe to my channel, and that you also check out my Patreon page where you'll find additional painting perks such as this one. So this painting that I did today is inspired by a photo that was submitted by one of my Patreon members by the name of Marian Jeske. I have a benefit for my members whereby every now and again I'll put a call out for photos. They'll submit them and I take some of them and turn them into YouTube tutorials. And as a thank you, I will send the original painting off to whoever submitted the photo. So I hope Marian likes her painting. So if you're interested in learning how YouTube could submit your photos to me, or more about the Patreon membership program, because there's a lot of additional benefits to help you increase your artistic and your painting skills, I have all of that information down below in the video description. So let's get painting and let's get sipping. Alright, so for my materials today, I'm going to be using a stretched and primed 16-inch by 20-inch canvas. If you're painting along, you can certainly switch up the size, but that's what I'll be using. I'm going to be using acrylic paint today. My colors are titanium white, ultramarine blue, Mars black, burnt umber, which I like to call brown, chrome yellow, and fire red. And of course you can switch up those colors, but that's what I will be using. For my tools today, I have 3 brushes from my personal brush line, which is Michelle the Painter brushes. I have a 1-inch wide flat bristle brush. I have a 1/2-inch wide flat bristle brush, and I also have a #1 round synthetic brush. And I might refer to these as small, medium, and large as we go through the painting process, or I'll just call them out by their given name, but you can certainly switch those up if you'd like to. If you're painting along with me, you're probably going to want to have some kind of cup of water for washing your brushes, as well as some kind of towel for drying your brushes. And down below this video, in the video description, I do provide you with a few additional resources that can help you throughout your painting process. One of them is a link to my shop where you could purchase the same exact paint kit that I'm using, from the same size and type of the canvas to the same type of paints and brushes and all the good stuff in between. You can also purchase from my shop things individually, like the brushes from my brush line. So that's there. There's also a link where you can download a free image of the final painting. So you can print that and use it as visual reference as you go through the painting process. And there's also the written step-by-step instructions down there for you as well. And that's all we're going to need today. Alright, so what we're going to do for the first step is we're going to be painting a base coat onto the canvas. I'm going to be using my large flat bristle brush to paint, but I'm going to use my #1 round to demonstrate how to premix a custom color. The colors that we're going to be using in this step are blue, brown, and white, and I'm going to premix myself a light blue color, which I have magically done on my palette here, so you can see where I'm headed as I demonstrate how to mix this. So this color here is made up of blue, brown, and white, and how I achieved it is mostly blue, and then I add just a little bit of brown to neutralize it, a little bit, and then just a little bit of white to lighten it. So, and then I just start mixing it together. And if I need to adjust it, I can certainly do that. So this mixture I just made, I had a little bit too much white in it, so I can add back a little bit more blue, and that's going to deepen it. So just a little bit of white at a time, because it can really turn it light super quick, which you just were witness to. And this is where I'm headed with my light blue color. So once I have that, I'm ready to start painting. I put my mixing tool away, take out my large bristle brush, and I just start painting. So I'm going to be using just a simple left to right type of brush stroke to apply my paint. Nothing fancy here. We are going to be doing a second layer on this, so don't worry about it not covering perfect at this stage of the game. So just kind of left to right, and I'll show you before I end this step how to smooth it out a little bit as well. So you'll notice I go left to right, but I'm also kind of almost like crisscrossing it a little bit. I'm going pretty darn quick, so that way it stays a little bit moist as I go through this process. So before I'm done this step, I will have, it'll still be a little bit wet, and I can flatten it out a little bit or make sure that I've gotten all my spots covered that I want to. So this is looking pretty good. And then once I've got the entire canvas covered, what I do with light pressure is I just go back and forth, left to right, from the top to the bottom. And this helps me to catch any spots that I might have missed. It helps to level out the paint a little bit and also give me a little bit more of an even coverage. And then once I've got that done, I am going to be using this same brush for the next step, so you can just wash it and dry it and get ready. All right, so what we're gonna do for the next step is we're gonna start our cloud formation and finish the sky. So I'm gonna be using my large bristle brush to paint, but I'm gonna again use my #1 round to demonstrate how to pre-mix 2 more custom colors. So I'm gonna be pre-mixing gray, and I'm gonna call it beige. It's kind of like off-white. So I have made those colors in my palette. The colors I'm gonna be using in this step are my light blue, blue, black, white, and brown. And I'm gonna make my gray color first. So this is the gray color on my palette. This is a very cool kind of mid-tone gray. So how I achieved it is mostly white, a little bit of black, which is going to turn it gray, and a touch of blue, which is going to keep it cool. So I want this to remain a nice cool gray. I don't necessarily want it to look blue at this stage, but so for me that's a little bit too dark and a little bit not blue enough. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue and a little bit more white, and get me into the tonal value that I'm looking for. So I'm looking for the tonal value to be pretty similar, maybe a little bit lighter than my light blue right now. So something like that. That looks good to me. And then once I've got that, I can wash my mixing tool in preparation to make my beige color. So washing my tool. So this is my beige here. All I did for this one is I mixed white with a touch of brown. So I want to start my clouds with something that's not white because I want to preserve or reserve the white for later when I'm looking for some really bright tones on the clouds. So this is my beige. I put it next to my white so you can see the difference. It's maybe a shade and a half to 2 shades darker than white. So there we have it. Those are the colors I'm going to be starting with. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be in essence laying out my clouds where the lighter part, like the light parts and the dark parts are, so I can just have kind of a nice simple roadmap for them later to put all the details on. So obviously the focal point of this one is a big heart-shaped cloud up here. What makes the heart-shaped cloud stick out is it's a bright, illuminated cloud from the sun. And then there's dark clouds in the middle, and then there's bright clouds down at the bottom. So it was really cool how the clouds were formed here. So I'm going to do a bright cloud here, some grayish clouds in through here, and some brighter clouds down below. However, I do need to finish my sky around it too because it looks a little unfinished. So I'm going to first start with my sky color and finish those areas that I feel would be peeking through the clouds, and then we'll put the clouds on. So I'm going to start with some of my light blue, and instead of using a left to right, back and forth motion for my brush stroke, now I'm going to be using a circular brush stroke. So for me, using this circular brush stroke, even while I'm in the sky portion, it's going to allow me to transition into my clouds really easily and give me a nice freestyle type of painting. I can also, as I'm doing this, I'm noticing in the photograph that there is also little kind of wispy clouds going behind that big heart cloud. So if I'm gonna have my heart cloud somewhere in through this center area, it looks like there's some wispy clouds up in this top left corner. So I can take my light blue and add just a tiny touch of white, an itty bitty tiny touch of white, and I can put these little essence of some drifty clouds up in this left-hand corner. And I might amplify it a little bit as I go through the process, but that just gives you kind of a nice sampling of how you can do that, just with an itty bitty bit of white paint on your brush. I'm reserving my area where I'm gonna have my my heart. So I've got some blue sky in through here, so my heart's kind of in through here. And then there's a whole bunch of other like little fluffy clouds in the middle. So I'm just kind of using my light blue, and you can see even as I'm just doing the second layer, because that first layer we used a left to right brush stroke and I used a bristle brush, it kind of looks streaky. You can see some of the white canvas underneath it. So as I'm adding this second layer and avoiding certain spots, because I'm going to have darker clouds, you're going to see where I'm painting. Even though I'm painting with the same color, I'm just filling that in a little bit more. So all this in through here is going to be some nice drifty, darker clouds. So I'm not going to touch that right now. And then down here I might kind of fill in this area with some of that sky color, just so I have some little peekaboo spots around those other clouds. So the clouds themselves are going to have some transparency to them, so they will show some of that sky color through them and behind them. So that's why I wanted to start with that light blue, and we're just going to build on top of it. And I'm going to put a little bit down at the bottom, make sure that's nice and filled in. So that's looking pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of transition myself to the lighter tone, but I'm going to do that with the gray. I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm going to pick up some of that gray, and I'm going to put a lot of this gray in this middle area. So this is going to be, we're going to have darker clouds in through here, but I want to kind of start with this grayish base, and then I can build my way towards the darker shadowy areas and towards the lighter, brighter areas. So I'm using a photo as my guide, my inspiration for this. You do not need to put your clouds in exactly the same places. This is just, again, something that was the formation of this sky, which interested me because it formed a heart. So that's where this one kind of made its way onto the easel, because it was really super cool. It was one of the Patreons who submitted it, and I thought it was a great photo. So we're just using it as inspiration. So again, you don't have to put yours exactly the same. I'm still picking up that gray paint and allowing myself to create this large center area in through here. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking clouds. So I'm thinking wispy edges, allowing myself to utilize the benefits of a bristle brush to give me the soft edges to it. As I'm coming up in through here, again, still just using my gray, but not too much on my brush, just enough to kind of give me some heavier or thicker areas. And then I let myself kind of run out of paint, allowing for the softness of the edges of the clouds. So up and through here, if I want this to kind of dissipate and form into the other like airy clouds, I can just kind of blend it into that blue up there. I'm going to do a whole bunch of this gray down at the bottom, so I'm picking up some more of the gray. Just going to allow myself to put this on in through here. Big huge area of these light clouds down in through here. And again, just kind of using this circular brush stroke to get these started. I'll probably use the circular brush stroke almost the entire time because again, when making clouds, I just love this, the soft edges to it. So allowing myself to build my clouds using these soft painterly techniques really, for me, makes it feel and look a little bit more natural. But clouds can be pretty difficult when learning how to paint. So if you're going through your process, kind of just take it in little bite-sized steps and develop them in a way that makes sense to you. For me, it's just building in slow layered processes, and that makes my brain work well. So those are going to be the non-focal point clouds. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that beige color on my dirty brush to put this heart in shape. So my heart is going to come in through here. So it doesn't have to be a perfect heart. This is a heart that is made out of clouds. So as I'm doing this, I'm just going to kind of allow myself to have these little wispy edges or soft edges, but maybe not as diffused as these guys over here. I will develop this more as I go along, but right now I'm just kind of using the corner of my brush to give myself these little kind of edges to the cloud, and I'm going to bring it down in this little kind of heart shape. Somewhere in through here is where the little point kind of disappears behind the other cloud. And it looks like on this left-hand side, it kind of pops out a little bit and then kind of comes back in and pops out a little bit more. But again, it doesn't have to be exactly as the photo. This is just, I think making this look nice and organic might be the biggest trick to it. But if yours just looks like a beautiful white heart in the sky, then that's so be it. If it doesn't look exactly like a cloud, that's okay. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this tan to brighten up just a couple more of the clouds, and then we'll probably call it on this step. So just a little bit on my brush. I see kind of a little bit of a bright area over in through here. This cloud is a little brighter than some of the ones down below. So I'm just starting the kind of tonal value switch or shift on some of these clouds. There's one over here that I see has quite a bit of lightness to it. So, and we're using the tan because by the time I'm done, after I get all of the details on that, on the heart's going to be almost white, but just kind of allowing for these little bits of bright pops. I'm going to do some of this down here too with the beige color, so just a little bit in through here, popping these edges out just a little bit more. And again, I'm just going based on what I'm seeing in the photo of where these little light patches are. But mine is not exactly as the photo, mind you, because I never do clouds exactly as I'm seeing them. They kind of morph into whatever they want based on a loose interpretation. So I think, and then maybe there's some lightness in through here. So somewhere in through here, we're going to put some lightness too. And then once you've got this step done, we're going to be using, I think I'm going to use this same brush for the next step. I see some spots I missed up here, so I'm going to just add a little bit more up in through here. So once you've got this done, you can wash and dry this large brush. Just make sure you've got your sky part, the blue part behind it, as finished and developed as you want, because we're not going to touch that part again. So I'm just adding just a little bit more in through here. And then once you've got this done, you can wash and dry this large brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is the second step to the clouds. I'm going to use my large bristle brush to paint, but again, I'm going to use my #1 round to demonstrate how to pre-mix 3 more custom colors. So I'm going to be making dark gray, light yellow, and pink. The colors I'm going to be using are black, blue, white, yellow, and red. And I'll probably also, in this step, I might use some of my light blue and my light gray and my beige as I'm building the second layer. So I'm going to show you how to make the custom colors. This is the first one that I'm going to make is my dark gray. I'm using the same color combination that I used for my light gray, only I'm making it darker. So this is going to be blue, a little bit of black, and a touch of white. So again, it's going to be very cool, and that's way too dark and too black. So I'm going to add more blue and a touch more white. And that makes me happier. So there we go. And put it next to the light gray so you can see the difference in the values. This is a couple of shades darker than this one. So that'll be my dark gray. But again, it's on the cool side. So then I've got a light yellow here. How I achieve this is mostly white and just a teeny tiny touch of my yellow. So I'm going to be using the light yellow and the pink as my undertones for my highlighted areas in the clouds. So these little tricks will help you to get the white of the cloud to be nice and luminescent and really, really bright. So then I've got a little pink, and how I achieve that again is mostly white and just a teeny tiny touch of red. So I don't want it to go super duper pink on me, or vibrant I should say, just a really dull pastel type of a color. So that'll be that, and those are going to help me get to my light areas on the clouds with a lot of dimension to them. So I've got my large brush. I'm going to start in my darker areas and work my way to my light areas. So I'm going to start with a little bit of my dark gray, and all the while I'm going to have very little bit of paint on my brush. So not a lot of paint. I'm going to start kind of in the center of my canvas, somewhere in through here, and just add a little bit of this extra darkness. I'm seeing that this darkness kind of comes up the heart a little bit, so I just wanted to add a little bit of extra darkness up in through there. So again, these darker clouds that I'm doing are in front of the other ones, is the way that I'm seeing it in the photo. So I've got a dark one here, there's another dark area up in through here, and a lot of times when I'm doing clouds, if I'm trying to emulate a photograph, I don't always understand exactly how the light source is creating what it's creating, because there's so much depth to the clouds, and they're all kind of different types of clouds, and a different kind of cloud can be laying on another kind of cloud which should be doing something else. So what I find myself doing is just following a color pattern, and that helps me to just kind of digest what I'm, to emulate it on the canvas. So I'm seeing another kind of dark area in through here. So again, I'm dark gray right now, and I'm going to work my way towards the light. And again, I'm just using a teeny tiny bit on the edge of my brush, the corner of my brush, to get these darker areas in here. That looks nice. And then there's a little darkness over here, but it doesn't seem to be that dark. So I'm going to use my dark gray plus my light gray. So get somewhere in that middle of that tonal value, and it kind of comes somewhere in through here. Something like that. That looks nice. And again, I'm just following the photo, but you can certainly make yours into whatever you want. So then I'm going to just pick up a little bit of my dark gray and my light gray, because there's a couple little patches down in through here that have both. I'm seeing a little peekaboo spot of the sky in through here. And again, I'm just following the photo where I'm seeing all these clouds in these different values kind of poking in front of the sky. So I'm seeing little bits of the sky back there too. So again, light gray and dark gray. I'm working my way towards the lighter areas. I'm seeing little peekaboo spots of the sky in through here, so just making sure I still can see those. That looks cool. There's a little spot in through here. All right, that looks good. And then I feel like I still have some floaty clouds that I want to attend to here, so I'm going to pick up a tiny bit more light gray. I feel like I could kind of go a little bit bolder in through here, so just allowing myself the liberty to continue to add, but again, very little bit of paint on my brush, just tiny bit. This helps me to just build in a nice gradual way and in a controlled way. And I probably will finesse it a little bit more when I get to my smaller brush, but I think that looks pretty good for those darker areas. Now I'm going to build my way to the light. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to be using a little bit of my gray, the lighter gray, to start the kind of what would be the darker areas down at the bottom of like this cloud formation. And then as I get towards the top, I'm going to use a tiny bit of my light yellow and or my light pink in order to kind of put little bright areas on the tops of those clouds, or maybe the areas that are popped out to the viewer a little bit more. So I'm going to start with my light gray and just kind of make sure I've got these formed the way that I want them. That looks good. There's a little spot in through here. Just, you know, making sure I've got it everywhere that I want. So I think that that looks good for this little formation down in through here. So I'm going to start with a tiny bit of my pink on my dirty brush, and I'm going to just start to illuminate. I see little bits of bright spots in this cloud in through here towards the top of this one. So I'm just going to allow myself to just kind of pop a little bit of this pink on here, and there's a little spot in through here that's got a little lightness. And I know that I say it's pink, but you can't really detect that it's pink on the camera or in person. So that's the whole idea here, is when you want to kind of make your way towards those bright areas, especially when using white, you can use shades of white to help you get there. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're using different shades of white to help us achieve a really bright, dominant effect in the white of the clouds. I'm actually going to pick up a little bit of that light yellow right now too, so I can get a couple of different tones, but I feel I have too much paint on my brush, so I'm just going to tap it off. And now I can do the same thing with a little bit of that light yellow. So again, just kind of allowing myself to add these little tiny hues of these other shades of white to help me achieve that beautiful depth within the clouds. So I don't want it to scream yellow, I don't want it to scream pink, I just want it to work its way towards that lightness. And if you ever do something you're like, whoa, that was way too much, you can always dial it back with your gray. I feel like I want a nice light spot in through here, so I'm picking up some of my pink, like right below this, or right behind this dark cloud in through here. I'm seeing a lot of lightness in the photo, so I'm going to put some bits of that light pink in through here, comes up in through here. That looks pretty neat. Going in for some more light pink. I feel like there's, yeah, I'm going to put a tiny bit over here too. Feels like there's some lightness that could be had in through here. And again, very little bit of paint on my brush, and because I'm using such a firm brush, this is what these bristle brushes work well for me, because they're firm and I can keep moving that paint until it is it's on the drier side. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more pink to come up in through here, down at this cloud, maybe some up in through here. I'm going to put some light yellow in a minute, but so you can see as I'm doing these, like these are the opposite side of the cloud. I think there's a little kind of piece I'm missing here. It's okay, something like that. Doesn't have to be exactly as the photo. You can get it as close or as not close as you want. A little bit of pink in through here, little bits like that. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of my light yellow right now. I feel like this area down in through here might be a little bit more on the yellowy side. So we're just going to kind of add little bits in through there, little bits in through here. And as I'm adding these tones, I'm starting to see the depth of these clouds. So just itty bitty bits in through here and there. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of my light gray right now to just kind of on my dirty brush, so the other light values that I had on there can intermingle a little bit, because I'm seeing a little wispiness in through here. There we go, that looks pretty cool. And then that stays dark. This is a little bit lighter. I'm picking up a tiny bit of light yellow. It's getting a little extra pop. Ooh, this one comes up over here. No, that one comes down. Well, that's okay. We made an extra cloud. This one I don't think should be up this high, but who cares? It's a cloud, right? I'm picking up a tiny bit of pink to get to this cloud, in through here. There we go. There's a big one in through there. And then a little bit of my light gray. I feel like this could be over just a little bit more. In through here. Accentuate that, the heart shape over here. I'm picking up some dark gray to go right here. And then the next step we're gonna do is gonna be with a smaller brush, but let me hit this guy here. I'm gonna pick up some of my light pink on this one on my dirty brush. I'm gonna start at the bottom of this cloud with a light pink on my dirty brush. There we go. I can't wait to see this when it's done. This is one of those paintings. It's like I was so excited to paint it because it's so neat with its formation. So I can't wait to see it when it's done. Still just a little bit of light pink adding to this cloud. And then I think I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of light yellow as well, just to get just these little pops. And you're going to see how important or how much these little pops of the light yellow and the light pink have as an effect on the end result. So just these are laid underneath what's going to be my white later. So I'm going to just put a little bit more in through here, and they'll help that white to really stand up. So I think that's about as far as I want to take this step. So I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch bristle brush for the next step, so you can just get ready. All right, so what we're going to be doing for the next step is we're going to paint another layer onto our clouds. I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch bristle brush to paint, but I'm going to use my #1 round to demonstrate how to pre-mix one more custom color. The colors I'm going to be using in this step are my light blue, beige, white, probably dark gray and light gray. And if there's any other colors that I use, I'll let you know. So the custom color I'm going to make is a pale blue. So how I'm going to make that is, I've already made it on my palette here so you can see where I'm headed. I used my dark blue and I added some of my beige to it. So I want this to be lighter and just really pale. This is going to be a nice connector between my clouds. It's going to harmonize everything in the painting for me. So light blue plus some of my beige will get me into this real pale blue color, and we'll use that to help connect all of our clouds and our sky and all that good stuff together. So once I have that, I'm ready to start painting. So what I'm going to be doing in this step is I'm going to be finessing or finalizing my bright white clouds. Definitely my heart is going to have a lot of white on it. The other clouds that are going to be bright is this guy in through here, some of the edges on this one, maybe this little edge in through here, and then everything else just has to be kind of softened and harmonized with each other. So that's where that pale blue is going to come into play, and I'll probably use my grays and white and beige to just help soften it all. So again, I'm never going to have a ton of paint on my brush, but I'm going to this time start with my brighter areas and work my way to my darker areas. So I'm going to start with white paint. So white paint is going on my brush. I'm starting with my biggest area of white, which is this guy here. So the trick here is I don't want to paint the entire thing 100% white, because that would take away from all the dimension that we have. So in the photo, I'm seeing that it's pretty white in through here, along the edge in through here, and then the rest just kind of fizzles and fades to like a lighter gray down in through here. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start up in through here. I'm going to allow myself to be pretty bold with the white in through here, allowing for some of the undertones to show. I'm just using my brush to make these little circular type of marks in through here. That looks pretty good. I'm going to pick up some more white to go over here on this guy, in through here, give myself some nice brightness along that edge. Looks like it kind of dips down a little bit in through there. And so again, I'm just kind of using the footprint that I already have along with this brighter white on top to give me the dimension within this cloud. So as I'm going through it, I don't necessarily need to, again, put this white everywhere, but I'm going to use it to give myself, to allow it to have that great dimension. So everywhere that I had like the light yellow underneath or the light pink underneath, it's going to give it a little bit more luminescent value to that color. Where there's gray, it's going to look a little bit duller and it'll be a little bit softer looking, like it'll sink into that sky a little bit more. So now as I'm running out of paint, I can use that circular brush stroke with a minimal amount of paint on my brush just over the rest of the cloud, and it's going to give it a lot of depth. And I can always come back and add more to it as well, but I'm thinking that that's where I'm going to start with that one. I'm going to pick up a little bit more white to go to the other whiter areas that I want. So I have a little spot up in through here that I want to be pretty darn white, so I'm allowing some bits of white to pop in through there, down in through this cloud. I don't really see it on the end, on the top edge, so I see it lighter kind of in through here. So just allowing myself to add these lighter tones and just scumbling it out or rubbing it out to kind of get it to dissipate. I see a little bit of brightness in through here. So now what I'd like to do is, as I'm running out of paint on my brush, I use the remnants of that to help soften and go to other areas to illuminate them. So little tiny bit of white I'm going to put on my brush in through here. Get this to go a little bit lighter in through here. Right around this cloud, looks like there's some lighter stuff in through here. Looks nice. So I've got my bright stuff. Oh, there's a little bright spot up in through here too. So I feel like I've got a lot of the little bright areas accounted for. Now I'm going to start making my way towards the darker stuff. But I want to kind of harmonize everything. So this is where that pale blue is going to come into play. So I just picked up some of that pale blue. So like in through here, I've got some lightness, but I don't necessarily, it doesn't really blend in with this, and this doesn't really blend in with this. So this is where this light blue is going to come into play. I can take this, and I can take this light blue and use it at, I'm going to pick up some of my, that was pale blue I picked up. Now I'm picking up pale blue and light blue. So you can use any combination of the colors that you currently have in order to get the entire formation kind of connected. You can even use a little bit of water on your brush. Like I just put a tiny bit of water on my brush to get almost like what's referred to as a glaze on the clouds. So this is a very thin layer of transparent paint, is referred to as like a glaze, and that will help you to, again, just get these clouds kind of harmonized. I'm thinking my pale blue might be a little too light, so I'm gonna keep using it with a touch of my light blue. It is going to darken a little bit as it dries based on the colors that it's on top of, but just so you know what I'm using a little bit of both. I do have a dark area in through here, so I'm going to allow that to stay pretty dark. There we go. We're getting what I want to accomplish. And then I'm just going to use this with a little bit of water on my brush to help soften this and get all of these colors to harmonize and connect with one another, and also make it a little bit lighter and airier looking. This is definitely should remain on the darker side, but I feel as though I need a little bit of connection in through here. Again, I'm just kind of going with what's in the photo, but you could certainly modify it. This cloud back here looks to be a little bit lighter to me in the photo, so I'm picking up a little bit of white paint to just kind of let that have a little bit more lightness to it. And I'm not letting the white be super white. I'm using it with my dirty brush. I'm using it, you can even use it with the pale blue. Just reserve the white for that bright for the heart cloud, because that's the focal point of the painting. So ooh, it looks like we can make this a little bit funner shape too. So just know that you can certainly do as much as you want. I'm adding some little of the little sky blue. So this is the little light blue. It looks like I can break up that corner a little bit more. So if you're going through and you're like, well, that cloud just looks a little bit too much for that area, just bring some of that sky blue, which would be the light blue, into the equation, and that will help you to, again, just kind of harmonize everything. Let's see, and through that, I like that, I like that. I'm picking up some of my pale blue. Feel like I could use some pale blue in through here, just to kind of break this up and soften it a little bit more. Picking up some of my light blue, just to get these to kind of, again, talk a little bit better together. We like it when the clouds and the sky talk to each other. And this looks a little lighter in here. There we go. Just softening it. I'm seeing that it's very soft and wispy in the photo, so I'm allowing myself to just explore that as well. Super light in through here, so maybe even a little bit more of my beige can come in through here. This looks like it can be a little bit lighter in through here, because there's all these different little clouds. But again, I'm having fun making clouds. You might find that you just want this one heart flying through the sky. So you can take yours as far or as not far as you want to. Let's see here. That looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more of my pale blue is going on my brush. Pale blue up and through here. Make these clouds a little lighter up and through here. Make a little lightness in through here. I'm just seeing these other little fluffy guys kind of floating up. And this was where I was talking earlier that I might modify it just a little bit as I get into my smaller brush, because I'm seeing this little floaty cloud up and through here that I totally dig. So if you like it, you might as well put it in like that. And then again, if you want some more of that blue, the sky blue, just poking through, just pick up a little bit of the sky blue. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I have not washed my brush throughout this process. I don't think I have, because this, using a very little bit on your brush will allow you to just kind of go back and forth between the colors without having to wash your brush. I think I want just a little bit more of this lightness in through here. Make it look like there's that peekaboo spot behind this cloud. That looks nice. Picking up some of my pale blue to kind of introduce into here a little bit. And again, there's no way you're going to get the cloud formation exactly as it is in the photo. I mean, you could, but it might take you a really extra long time, and it might not be worth the effort that you impart in it. So just find that balance between what your painterly eye needs to see, and what your heart and your excitedness of painting wants to do. So that's the part that's finding that balance. I keep picking up my beige right now to get these little brighter spots on these guys. That's the balance that I find was probably one of the most difficult things to come to as an artist, was figuring out where my painterly eye was going to be satisfied based on how far I wanted to take that painting. And it was a tough place to figure out what was going to be the spot that worked for me. And I found that as I'm painting more and more, that I really love to paint looser, and the fine-tuned details aren't super important to me anymore. But that could be a different case scenario for you. I'm thinking that that's looking pretty good. I'm going to pick up a little bit more white. I feel like I want to just pop this just a little bit more. This might be the time that I do wash my brush, because this cloud up in through here, I don't want to have too much blue in it, so I'm going to wash my brush. So, that's just my words of experience, I think, guiding you to just finding that place that is comfortable to you. I picked up a little bit more white. Just get this bad boy as bright as I want. I don't think I've ever called a cloud a bad boy. So weird. don't say that. That doesn't come out my mouth very naturally. So a little bit more white on my brush. I just want this cloud to pop really bright. And it's getting there. And again, if you're going through it and that cloud is not popping the way that you want it to, you can also add little tiny bits of color around the edges of it, which would help to kind of get it to stand out from the sky. Oh, there's a little guy kind of popping out over here. So just know that if you're having trouble with that, you can pop just a little outline of red or dark blue or something, and that'll get it to pop out a little bit more. I'm picking up a little bit more of my pale blue, and then I'm thinking that this is pretty much where I want to take this thing. You can certainly take yours a little bit farther if you want to, and put a little bit more white right in through here. And then we're going to be using the small detail brush for the next step. So once you've got your heart cloud in a place that is satisfactory to your painterly eye, you can, I'm going to pick up a little bit of my dark gray and light gray. Hold on one second. You can put this brush away, take out a small brush, just get this the way that I want, just a little bit more connection in through here. There we go. I think that looks good. I can't stop. I can stop. All right, I'm stopping. You can take out a small brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so we're on to the final step. This is the final step of every painting, which is to sign it. So I typically sign mine in the lower left or the lower right. I am using my #1 round brush. I'm gonna sign mine, I think I'm going lower left with my dark gray paint. I like to sign mine with my initials, but you can sign yours however you want. You can make up a fun symbol, you can sign it on the back, you can hide it in your painting. Whatever you want to do is totally up to you, because it is your painting, and those are the kind of decisions that you make all on your own. And that is going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you painted yourself a fun heart cloud. And I look forward to painting and sipping with you again sometime.